Bonsoir, good evening, and welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us. I'd first like to recognize that Manitoba Music is a settler organization based on Treaty 1 territory, the original lands of the Anishinaabe, Cree, Oji-Cree, Dakota, and Dene people, and on the homeland of the Métis Nation. I'd also like to recognize the strong Inuit community here in Manitoba. My name is Ashley Bienyange, and I am the Indigenous Music Development Coordinator at Manitoba Music. Today, I'm joined with MJ Dandeneau. This is the second session of the On Track Indigenous Music Business Basics series happening this month and streamed to Facebook and YouTube. These sessions will talk about foundational business skills to help you, the artist, get organized and develop the tools needed to establish your music as a business. Today, we're talking about show booking etiquette and communications. With venues and organizations starting to book live music again, this workshop will talk about getting yourself ready to reach out to venues or bookers, what resources you'll need to prepare for a gig, and how to ensure that you're going to get invited back and to be recommended to their peers in the industry. Also, how to start a potentially national or international tour. For more information on the On Track series, you can go to indigenousmusic.ca/ontrack. And if you have any questions during the presentation, please write them in the comment section, and I'll be sure to ask MJ during. She loves questions, so make sure to leave them there so we can do that. So hello, MJ. How are you?
Hi, good. How are you? I'm so happy to be here again.
I'm great. I'm so happy to have you here. I appreciate all that you do for the local and national music scene, and you're just such a wonderful human being and so insightful. So I'm so glad to have you. I'd love for you to introduce yourself and kind of give everyone a little bit of a background as to what you do and your experience on the scene.
Yeah. So my name is Marie-Josée Dandeneau, and I come from Saint-Boniface, la Red River Nation, and my mom from the Red River Valley, Île-de-la-Crosse, and my dad's from Penetanguishene, Treaty 61, and I've been in this music industry for about 17 years, from sleeping on couches to working with different promoters and booking tours and things like that. So I'm super honored to be sharing my experiences and sharing, what I've learned and sharing my mistakes to not to do and to do. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so did you want me to just jump into it?
Just jump into it. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So I think what I'm going to start now is maybe start with the emailing, because I think right now that's mostly the way to go. Is people are trying to reach out after COVID, and kind of probably artists have been creating music and they want to I guess show their music and book gigs. So I'm going to just talk a bit about maybe like 5 things to keep in mind before beginning writing an email to promoters or to venues or to festival artistic directors or festivals. So basically, if you're thinking, there's five things to keep in mind. First is always check the venue website for any submission, festival website for any submissions specifics. So sometimes they have applications that you have to provide instead of sending them emails. It might just avoid frustration for the venue buyer or the festival buyers if you're not proactive and you don't know about it. So I always say go and check the website for any information about the booking. If they have an artistic director or a promoter that has booking for bands or for artists or anything like that, then it's on the website. Also understand what you're selling, and you're selling a live show. So try to paint a picture in their mind about your music and your amazing live performance. I think that's the main thing, is you're trying to sell something. Third one is look at it as a business standpoint. So think about, what is it what's in it for them. What do they want, and what are they looking for? And a lot of the times, I also tell artists to check the website, and then you could see also what kind of bands do they book, or the artist. Are they booking only on Mondays or on Thursdays, or do they have singer songwriters on Sundays, and things like that. It's always um, try to, from their point of view, what are they looking for, and then aside from the music and the live show that you want to put on, a booker also pays attention on your image and your branding, how much money you're potentially going to make their venue, or like something. It can, like, it could honestly come down to like whether you are a good person or a bad person, or a, a person that has a bad reputation, or was really mean to the sound guy, and people in this industry talks. But generally, think about the buyer, um, what they want before reaching out. It's like, you want to know what kind of jacket you want to buy before going into like 5 different stores. If you want leather, or, I don't, whatever. But yeah, and then 4 would be, sometimes it comes down to who you know. So people like doing business with, like basically people who do a lot of business in this industry, connects with each other, and so sometimes getting a gig is because you know somebody who knows somebody who can connect you with them. And then this is why building a network and including, as many people in this industry, talking to many people in this industry, it's literally gonna grow your music network. Um, and and also those connections that you're building also could lead to slots or co-headlining shows or opening acts, or many different artist opportunities to connect. And then the 5th thing would be, don't undersell yourself, but don't oversell yourself. Just be truthful. Like, don't say, oh, I haven't been in this industry, but like, or I've done all this stuff. It's like, it's basically, people, we're all people in this industry, and the best thing is to be who you are, to be truthful, and to, yeah, just to be, honest. So that's the 5 things, like, that I always keep in mind if I'm pitching an artist to a promoter or a booking agent, or in different countries or different um, markets, and festivals. And
I have a
yeah,
quick question
for
about that.
sure.
So you'd mentioned submission specifics.
Hmm.
For many applications or submission forms, they ask for a rationale as to why you should be picked. And sometimes it's easy for artists to be like, "It's a really great opportunity for me. I love this festival." Or, do you have any advice on how to really strengthen that part of the application? You mentioned be truthful to who you are, and
Hmm.
but like, what are some great things to think about when you're filling out a rationale to pick you?
Yeah, and that's a great question, because like, honestly, I hear stories about um, artistic directors for festivals said, yeah, this artist said they've never played on this one stage, or they remember their parents bringing them to this stage, and they just always, their dream was to play on that stage, and that was big enough for them to pick them. So I think, honestly, when I'm talking about don't undersell or oversell yourself, just be truthful, is why do you want to be picked for doing this event? Is it because you need it to exceed your career, or do you need to build it to or do you just want to go? Like, I think it's basically to be truthful, because no matter what, like, honestly, it's that answer is not gonna break or make the deal. It's mostly your image and your branding, and that's just kind of, it's, yeah, it's like the cherry on the cake kind of thing. It's like
Mm-hmm.
it's a great thing, but it's also a way for promoters to really get to know the artist. And if they have this attitude of like, you know, over overselling themselves, or like a big head kind of thing, they could read it into that answer. And I think that's another way for them to really get to, yeah, to know the artist and see if they're genuine.
Yeah,
And
and maybe just to know, like, that they know where they are in their career.
exactly, yeah,
So,
for sure. Hmm.
hmm, thank
So
you.
that's perfect. Yes, okay, so for your email, um so in your email, if you're applying, you're applying in playing, you're booking a tour, or you want to play a show or anything like that, it's always, I have 5 points for that. It's always mention the desired date that you're wanting to play, like their venue, um, and like the date and the time of the week, because sometimes it's happened so many times that you say it's Saturday, September 9th, and that was 2021, and 2022, it's like it's Sunday, September 9th, and anything. So yeah, I always try to write the full date quite clear in the beginning of the email, so they don't need to fish through the whole email about when you're wanting to come and perform or book a show. And before you do that, also check on their website if they have somebody booked on that date already, or if they even have shows. If there's already a show that night, you could always ask if you could be added to the bill, or ask for an opening for that artist, if that's the only time that you can for that tour routing or anything like that. But only do this if you really believe that you are a fit for that venue. Um, and and then the second thing is, um, you want to have like a EPK, a package kind of thing, um, that explains what your style and your genre and your vibe is about. Um, and so having that attached to the email, which is just a one click going into your EPK, that has your bio. And I would say I would be having a short bio and then a long bio, but the first short, the picture, an image of of who you are, or how your branding is, and um, and with that, having a live performance video that explains how you're like a great live performance. So it basically shows how you are as a performer on stage, the best that you are. And I would avoid a lot of the iPhone videos, that maybe people clipped or anything. If you don't have a video of live performance video, I would absolutely invest into having, ask your friend or family to come and specifically videotape your one or two songs that are your some of your best music, that kind of gets the crowd going, or kind of gets the crowd up, and sings to your lyrics or anything, things like that. And then you could also um book a little, you know uh a little show, like even house concerts or anything like that. Like, they just want to see how you are on stage, and how good you're sounding, how the live performance, the interaction with the audience is, because live performance is, you could be an amazing recording artist. You could be an amazing, writing and recording amazing songs, but haven't mastered the on stage performance, which is acting. It's a lot of acting, because sometimes, like, you don't want to be playing, 20 shows a month, and sometimes you don't feel like putting a smile on, but you kind of have to. It's the job. It's the, like, you have a headache or anything like that. But yeah, so basically having a really good live performance video is it's always the key, really. um, and then having a short bio. So if you're emailing these promoters, it's a bio. I would say it's about 5 lines, to the point. It has um, your the name of your artist or your band, and then it has noteworthy things like recent tours, awards, radio, where you played your radio, sales stats, um, that artists that you've been directed to support for. Um, and then in that, you'd have your bio or your website link, and then any like social media links. Um, and that's pretty much the whole like email, that what you would be putting in, aside from addressing that you're on tour, or you're trying to book a show here, and you're passing by, and you're going to be in their neighborhoods and or neighbors and or city, and trying to book some shows. And what else? Yeah, I think
So
that's the
were
fact.
those were the 5 things? So like that have a clear desired date,
Yeah,
include the
so basically,
ETA.
yeah, clear dates, and say, like, if you want to be booking, because basically people are booking shows to create a small tour of, a week or 2 weeks or vice versa, but it's basically yeah, for booking, it'd be like you want the desired date, and you write the whole, like, the time of the week, and then the date, just so it's clear. But before that, you double check on the website, and then you have your EPK. So the date, and then you say that you're passing by, you're on a tour, you're releasing your single, or you're releasing your EP, or you've just released your album, and you're doing this tour of South Manitoba, or South or North of Saskatchewan, and did you know that region là, and um, and so you're kind of just like saying a small blur of why you're coming over. They want to see why they should be booking you, and why you're coming, and then from there you would have a live performance link of uh, of a live performance, and then from there you'd have your website links, and your EPK links, so they could click on it. And I personally always put on, like, either the top or the bottom, because right now you could, with emails, you could really customize the look of the email, and I would personally put a banner of your artist on the top. And I would always also, when you do email, always what on the first, like, talk about yourself, like, I want to go here, like, we are coming, blah blah blah, not like MJ Dandeneau, she will be coming with her band, like, talk like you're talking to as
Keep it
first
personal.
person, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. What if you mentioned, like, including noteworthy points? What if you're still at like the early stage of your career where you haven't necessarily opened for any like bigger names, or you haven't maybe you're still trying to book a gig and you haven't exactly recorded a single yet, even, or what could you
Mm-hmm.
include that would still entice someone to want to give you those opportunities?
Yeah, and so for that, what I would suggest is to start playing. The best way to really get your like your experiences on and just events and things like that is to play in your own hometown, in little pubs here and there, because doing that, like I know for me, I've played for years and years, and that's pretty much how I got a lot of my live performance, you know skills here and there, like what to do and not to do and things like that. But by doing so, if you're playing to these places, you're playing also, you're sharing the bill with so many different artists. And sometimes these artists have toured, and that's a good way of connecting. And that's where I was talking, like, it's so great to connect with other people, because those people, you could you could we all support each other in a way. And if this artist or this band needs an opening act, and you've just finished playing with them, sharing the bill at this pub, and they'd be like, hey, I'm going for 4 days here, that's and you're available. That's a starting point of adding to, like, north noteworthy things. But if you don't, then, like, I don't want to be rude or anything, but then there's no you're not there yet to go tour international, like to tour nationally, or like, not, you're not there yet. No, it's not that. It's my French here. I'm trying to find the right
Okay.
words here, but it's just, there's other steps that you need to take prior to that to get to that point. Because when you want to get to that point, you want to be so, like, you want to be nailing it down, and you want to be ready. Because when you're starting out in this industry, you're not given too many chances to really push that level. And so when you do try to hit every level, you want to be at your best, to be performing and to be ready, and to be shocking these audience to the point that they're constantly growing. And then you'll have other events and opportunities that sometimes it's gonna fail, and it's okay, because that's how you learn how to navigate this whole music industry. But for your question, like, I think if you don't have that experience, or that many, you've not performed many times, then that's your time to go and hit all those local venues who are constantly giving a platform for emergent artists to really be able to, like, all these coffee houses that people come to listen to music, to find new artists. That is absolutely the best way to gain your experiences, to the point that you could next be booking and reaching out to other venues and things like that.
Absolutely, for sure. I agree, and I think that's important to know. It's like, just because you're not ready now doesn't mean you'll never be ready. It's
No,
just
exactly.
not ready yet.
Yeah.
We have a question in the chat.
Okay.
Says, "Hey MJ, do you have any recommendations on secondary programs, for example, Mailchimp, to help customize your emails?"
Oh, um, Mailchimp. That's pretty much the one I use.
Did you need to necessarily have some kind of program like that? Could you
I
just
No,
keep
I
track?
I don't use, really, like, I'll create the PDF file of, like, the banner. Like, let's say if I'm doing the Good Lovelies, I'll have that banner, and I'll just put it on top of the email, and then you address to whoever you're trying to address. But honestly, um, with Mailchimp, like, it's good too. But I from the promoters that I've talked to, or for buyers that I talked to, the shorter the email, the better, to the point. And then if you have links to go to your material, to your branding, to um, uh, your media. Like, if you have articles that came out, and it's on your website, or things like that. And sometimes I'll put the website, the band website, the artist website, at the bottom where you're signing off, because also another thing I've noticed is they don't want to be clicking to find. So you want to have a link to, if you have a like you got covered by, you know, Chanel or like whatever, like whatever. You want to have that link right there, so you're clicking on it and you go straight to that, because they get so many emails, but it's also finding a way to catch their interest. So in the subject line, that's another way to really push through, and you want it something like something that is catchy, that is going to want them to read this email, and things like that.
Do you have any like examples of or suggestions of like how a good subject line could really grab somebody's attention?
um Subject line would be,
Maybe like the dates of the actual
yeah,
day you
like,
want them, or
yeah, so in the subject line, so basically you want to give as much information as possible, but as short. So some booker get, because they get so many emails, right? So, but never. So it would be, I want you mention like the artist name, the city, and the date, and it'd be like, um, on tour, or like, um, a Juno winner, um, anything that kind, like, yeah, like noteworthy, attention grabbing points, was on tour for, just finish a Canadian cross Canada tour and heading your way, or things like that. Um, Never ever put the word urgent in your subject line. That's
oh,
just going to be like delete. Yeah,
interesting.
they have no patience for that, because that's just grabbing to the, it's grabbing their, or it's pushing it to the point that it's like, oh, it's
It's
urgent, but
yeah,
is
it's
it,
not
you
actually
know
urgent. Yeah. Okay.
no,
That's
exactly, it's just, so basically, yeah, so it's the yeah, the city you're going, like Toronto, September 28th, um uh Ashley Trio live, or I would do like Ashley Trio booking, and then they're like,
okay.
they know, they're like, oh, okay, so they're looking for a gig, and then you have the picture, you're seeing the picture, you're like, okay, that looks cool, and then you have like the three lines of like where you have been, what you're doing, and when you're wanting to come and perform, and then you have the video that showcases what you're about, your branding, and then anything that would catch their attention, as like, why should we be booking them, what's so special about it.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Awesome. Yeah, I think that
um,
I guess you don't necessarily, to go back to Keely's question, you don't necessarily need some kind of secondary program, but
no.
maybe it's good to have some kind of like tracking system. Maybe you have like an Excel sheet where you've said when you've sent their email, and maybe you could talk a little bit, MJ, about how to keep track of if you're like booking for a tour or doing multiple or doing outreach to multiple venues. How do you keep track of that, and what does your follow-up system look like? So you don't want to like pressure them too much or be a little too
Yeah.
in their face, but you don't want to be like send an email that never follow up.
Hmm. So I'm a big fan of Excel spreadsheets. So I have a lot, and um, I'm also very, I keep everything in different folders. So every different band, different artists, I have everything from their information. I like information from like their birthdays to their like Air Canada aeroplan number, to air, like everything, their address and everything. And um, with that, I also have a spreadsheet of what what's the routing. So if I am booking a tour, I would look at where the artists want to go. So let's say they want to go and tour the west of Canada, and I would like it's all the questions like, where do you want to start in Winnipeg, or do you want to fly to Calgary and start in Calgary, and then go west to BC and then back to Calgary and then home, or come back to Winnipeg. So that's what determines your whole routing. And then when you establish your routing of where you want to go, you then try to hit the anchor dates. The anchor dates is where those are the dates that would make the tour successful financially. So it's, if you have, let's say, a lot of artists and bands would get offers to go and play art councils if they finished a showcase, Contact West, or like Folk Alliance and Folk Fest, or yeah, any Folk Alliance um, or BC showcases, and let's say they get two offers to go play somewhere in south of Calgary and then in Kenora, and those two offers are amazing deal. It's like, you know, $3,500 each, and so I would grab those as the anchor dates for the tour. So then you start planning around it, um, and then by doing so, then you'll look at what's happening during that time. So if they're looking at booking in May, then you look at all the holidays. What do we have during May and the holidays in Canada? So you're avoiding booking on those, like Mother's Day or that, or Father's Day, or, you know, sometimes Easter's in May. I don't know, ish. No, maybe it's in April, but whatever. Um, but finding those holidays in whatever month you're going, and then starting to plan, reaching out to cities, to like, it's a bit hard when you start looking at venues, because if you don't have a database, like I think in 17 years I have such a huge database that I've built over the years when connecting with a venue or played this venue and adding that to a database. So then you start doing that. You could start, there's programs online, Canada Music Venues, and you look at that, and they don't have all the venues, but they could have some of the venues, and then you go into those websites, and sometimes they have links of their sisters and brothers, like links, like I'm saying sisters and brothers, but yeah, like Ashley, you know that, but like, you know, like the coffee shops, or like the small like music halls here and there, and it's around the neighborhood. So then you click on those links, and then it opens up more. And every time you click on a link on a venue that you think is going to be good for your music, I would absolutely start a spreadsheet, and you write the city, you write the contact, if there's a contact, and then the website, and the email. And then if for me, it helps for me if they only, let's say, book Thursdays, I write Thursday for, like, in that line, that row or that column that says when to book, or the first of Sundays, or the first of the month, and things like that. But so when you start doing that, you start sending emails to these promoters, and honestly, like, you don't need, I think I used it a couple times for MailChimp, but I've had plenty of success just by email. Sometimes the MailChimp goes into their junk, and their spam and all that stuff. And especially if you're using, so just using a normal email. Now these days, I find that a lot of even artistic directors, they have the submissions on their website, and then also like venues, promoter venues, they have the submissions on. So if you want to be playing at Blues and Roots pub, whatever, or the Cochrane Art Council Theater, blah, 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 you go on it, and the submission's right there. And it's even easier because you could literally write what you need, and they know that you're applying to come and play. And so after you've send first, let's say the first email, I would wait about a week and a half, because sometimes just you're so busy, people are busy, and a week and a half I would email back and double check they got the email. And also, if you just released a single or anything that could interest them more, I would be like, hey, just double checking you got my email. Here's a link to the newest single that the band just released. Hope you like it. And not about like, when are you gonna get back to me? It's literally about being nice and understanding that everybody's busy, but also keeping them in the loop that you're very interested still of booking a show, and that you're reachable anytime. Um, so basically, and then I would say, if after 3 weeks, like that's the max, but I would say about like 2 weeks, 2 weeks and a half, if there's no response, I'd be like moving on next. Um, because and I want like artists to know that um it's also not like, if you don't get the gig, it's okay, because there's something better that's going to come up. And it's not that you needed that gig. um it's also, you want them to want to have you there, because you are your own CEO of your own business. So it's very important that you are making the right direction for your own music and your brand and yourself. So I would just move on, and then look at the next venue that's surrounded by the, where you're wanting to go, and then continue and continue. Another way also is to reach out to artists or bands that have played that venue already, and see if they have somebody in contact, like a direct contact, and be like, because on the website sometimes it says like info at Blues Garage, and you don't know who you're really dealing with. And then you talk to somebody who lives in Edmonton or in Calgary or wherever they've played, or you also look at the artist that has played in that venue, and you reach out. There's so much social media, and like honestly, everybody, this is a game that we're all playing, and we're all here to help. So I know I've given so many connections to artists who's trying to get to a place that we've played, or an artist that I've booked for played, and absolutely they would, we're all there to share. um, and they'd be like, oh yeah, contact Jamie, he's the guy to book. Oh, okay, great, instead of waiting and waiting. So that's another way of just looking into um, booking or getting contacts. And as an artist, I would absolutely start like from now, creating that spreadsheet, that database of just all the contacts and all the places that you come across or you researched, and keep it all together. And yeah, like my life is spreadsheets, it's database, that's my life. Like I don't know what I would do if I didn't have that. And it is also, it's lots of work, it's a lot of research. It's a lot of time that I spent finding these venues and things like that. So it's when you think that maybe putting all this time researching and all that time of finding these venues is waste of time, or it's just so long, but I have to say, like, it's a blessing in disguise. It's amazing, because it might not help you now, but it's going to help you later.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's an investment, and it will
It's an
get easier
investment. Yeah.
over time. Exactly. So, let's say that you booked the gig, or someone's approached you with a gig. What resources, or what should you have in place, or what should you expect to have ready to give to them, like maybe like during the advance, or if you want to explain what an advance is and what kind of questions people will ask you.
Yeah. So basically, if somebody comes, um, and they want to offer you a gig, it'd be great. Then you want to look over the contract. The contract, you want to make sure that there's either clause, or the clause is like, where, if let's say it's in Winnipeg and you live in Winnipeg, and they say you can't play in Winnipeg within this time frame, you want to know that. You want to be, and you want to make sure that, okay, you don't have any other gigs planned for that. And then when you do get that, you want to make sure that you have an amazing photo, horizontal and vertical and horizontal, because a lot of the time it depends for the website if it's horizontal, or it's like, it all depends what they use it for marketing, anything. They always want that. And it has to be high res, at least 2 megabytes. Um, and then you want to have a stage plot. A stage plot is it's it and there's stage what's the program, there's a bunch of stage um uh oh, stageplan.com, and it's create your own stage. It's for just anybody who needs to create a stage plot, and it's great. It has like, it's, you put it, and then it's basically, you drag these, like, you have a 3 piece, and in these stage plots, it also helps the buyer know how many you are in on, like, in your band. But I would always have, before even getting a book, or if you get a band or a booking, I would have absolutely high res a photo, a bio of short. So I would have like a very short of like 2 lines, just something that just like like and usually those, that 2 line is a quote from a writer, from a newspaper, from um, uh, somebody who saw you at a festival, or an artistic director, just something super catchy. And then you have a short bio, and then a long bio, because sometimes they just need a short bio for when um, for their article printing or whatever, and then their long bio is for their website. um, and always make sure that they're up to date. Don't like, it's so great to hire somebody to write a very good bio for you, and then just you tweak them every time that you get a gig. And then always have a stage plot for any combination that you have. So if you play solo, sometimes have one for just solo. If you play as a trio, have one for trio. If you play as a 5 piece, have a 5 piece. And have your name, your band name, or your artist name on top. Have your phone number and your email all on those stage plot all the time, because then the tech writer, or the tech, could just text you or call you or anything like that. And these stage plot, it's the look of, if the bass is on the left or if it's on the right. So when they're setting up the stage, they know, oh, keyboards come here. Oh, okay, the drum is not in the middle, it's here. Oh, the drummer is singing. Oh, like things like that. So it's easier. And then with the tech stage plot, you have the tech writer. Tech writer is what do you need on stage. So if you need wireless packs, if the whole band is on in-ears, or if you need to have a certain keyboard as backline, um, or if how many channels you're going to use, if you're bringing some compressor or anything like that. If you're just, and even I would have a tech writer if even if you're just a singer-songwriter, guitar and vocals, because they would, with the tech, it'd be like, okay, that's a 2 channel, or no, you know what, I have a voice, I have 2 voices, 2 mics, and one is going through some effects, or I'm having some loop pedals, and or I have a whole a pedal that's gonna adapt to this, or I have a stomp box. So it's just anything that makes the tech relax when they're about to sound check you, and also at ease of knowing what they're to I guess look forward to, what do they have to look forward to how to mix and things like that. And then um, that, and then a video, a live video. But that's pretty much it. And then so whenever you do, because they're mostly gonna just be asking you for photo, bio, um, uh, a stage plot, a tech writer together. Especially also, it depends if you're getting a contract and they said hospitality is provided. So in the tech writer, you would also write what kind of, if you want um, snacks. So what kind of snacks? If you want, if you're allergic to wheat, if you're gluten free, or if you're vegan, you write, or if you don't drink, have just water, or I would like to have tea, or I want to have orange juice, or things like that. And because sometimes they take upon themselves for the venues or the festivals, and they just put things, and that's where, when you're advancing, you want to make sure that they have the proper bio, the proper photo, because a lot of places are just going to go online and just grab it if you're too delayed, if you're not on, like if you haven't sent it. So usually I always send it with the contract signed. You have the photo that you want, you have the bio, you have the tech writer and the stage plot, um, and then anything else that the band, like if you have a sort of a logo of the band, I attach that to them too, because if doing promo, I want that logo to be on top of that picture, or anything that is gonna help your brand and showcase your band, because you're working, it's a two-way work business, right? So you're helping them, they're helping you, kind of thing. And then so yeah, so that's pretty much advancing. And then advancing is usually they would contact you for the intermittent, the load in, the sound check time, um, the show time, how many sets. Usually that's told into the contracts, but they, yeah, so advance is always uh it's the buyer who does that. But if you haven't, like, got within probably 2 weeks of when, or a week and a half about, of when you're supposed to perform, I would absolutely connect and say, hey, do you have any information for the advance? And you could also list it, like, when is sound check, when is load in, or load in, sound check, the show, when is supper or dinner, if dinner is included, where are we staying, is the hotel, you know and yeah.
That's perfect. That's great. So then you'd mentioned load in and sound check. Do you have any like do's or don'ts, tips, or like things that people should keep in mind when they're actually, getting to the venue, setting up,
Yeah.
what are some things that they should know?
Yeah, so basically, um I don't know, like, I think it's a I would, every time there's like, don't be late. Like, that's the only thing, like, one thing, just don't be late. If sound checks or load in is at 3, make sure that you're there at 3 to load in, because everybody has a schedule. But every time I go into for load in, I usually go in with the band, whoever, and we introduce ourselves to the crew. So if there's a sound tech, or if it's a smaller place, you go in and you meet the manager of the place, and you meet some of the workers, and then, okay, we're here, and then it starts. If you're coming in, you don't do that. You just start outloading and loading into the stage and stuff. It just kind of, I find like it just creates a bit more of a community and it's a welcome when you come in and you say hello, and it's not like you're this huge artist that you have no time to say hello and things. But I find like it's just, I don't know, etiquette, I guess, I don't know, but just you say hello, and if there's anything changes, so you say, oh, we're still sound checking at 3:30. Okay, great. Is there can and where can we put our cases, or what, like, you start asking questions, like, okay, so we'll start, and then after that, and just to double check again on all the information. um But yeah, I think it's yeah.
Just be kind, really.
Yeah, just be
You
kind.
know,
I don't know.
be a nice person and, like, communicate with them as if, like, it
Yeah.
is a business, and you're as an artist, you are a business, but
Hmm.
we're a walking business, we're humans, and I think it's easy to forget that, or you wanna, like, seem professional and, like, you just come in, do the work and everything, but people really resonate with those who, make conversation, even if there's, like, a even talking to the bartender beforehand, or
Yeah. Yeah.
just, that, or like the other artists, even if you're
Hmm.
sharing the night with someone
Yeah.
else, and
Yeah.
I
And
think
it's
that's really
and
important.
we're yeah, and that's the thing. Like we're all here doing this like what we can, and there's no room for ego. Like it's you should be like, I don't know, I'm always so happy and grateful to be able to share music and your talent with a bunch of people, and celebrate that, and I'm also so grateful to be meeting so many different artists and people in this world, who has that job that you could get to learn so many things, and meet so many and make so many connections. So I always find like every time you go into and you take a gig and you're performing and you're meeting these amazing people, it's a chance to connect, and it's a chance to also create like or make your network bigger, I guess, like to
Mhm.
come augmenter ton network,
Yeah, yeah, expand
expand,
and
and
network.
that's the
Yeah.
thing, like if you have artists who are there, like, and some artists are timid and are shy, or and break that, be like, hi guys, so happy to be here, and things like that, because you never know, they could be your best friend, and then you're like on tour the next month, like it happens so many times, and it's yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. I consider myself a timid person, but then the few times I'm like, you know what, I'm really gonna make this. I'm gonna go talk to someone. I've met some, like, really incredible people that I would even consider my friends, and
Yeah.
it's kind of surprising. And then sometimes you meet people, you're like, okay, well, I'm never gonna talk to you again. So,
Totally,
but that's how you
absolutely.
learn. Yeah.
Totally. And then you're like, and then you start learning which, the characters, and you're like, oh yeah, I could totally go see that. And also it's you get better at it, you know?
Yeah. It's interesting, like, you learn how to become, like, a person just by,
Yeah,
like, trying to make music and stuff. It's interesting
absolutely.
how that works.
Yeah, because I'm a huge introvert. I'm a very quiet person. But when it's the experience of touring, and the also the business side, I had to learn how to really navigate, talk to people, talk to promoters, and really, yeah, be out there. But it was also my business brain. I was just like, okay, I'm on business, and then I go back to the hotel and I'm like, ah.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know, it's experiences like that really make, yeah, shows you what to do and what to do, and then eventually the more you do it, the more it's just automatic.
Mhm. I guess my next question is, if you are booking a show, maybe for an album release or something, and or just a part of some show, how would you recommend reaching out to someone to open for you, or maybe if you haven't met them beforehand, but if you like their music,
Hmm.
what could artists do to, or even if they see that they're doing an album release, how could they reach out and be like, hey, I'd love to open for you? Is there, like, any advice on those kind of emails?
Yeah, like, so basically, um you'd want to you want to reach out to an artist that is kind of similar to you, but not too much. um but those ones, like, the for my experience, it has been all connections. So it's meeting with these artists, and um or like the showcases, like, the get together before COVID happened. That's like the prime time for artists to meet and to jam and to get to know each other. And those showcases, which I know are going to come back, they were the prime moments of creating those relationships that enabled it basically gave chances to a lot of artists to go and open for these the bands and the artists, or on tour and things like that. But it's very rarely, honestly, if I'm going to be honest, that if you just cold cut email or anything like that, for an opening slot, um, they're going to reach out. They might do it if you have management and you have a team behind you, and your marketing is going, your branding is out. um, then yeah, you could totally totally, that's so
Sorry.
cute. No, it's so cute.
She has a
I heard,
question.
I heard of it too.
Yeah.
I was like, oh. But yeah, so basically, I think that's why I'm so strong about the relationships that you build with other artists, because, and especially like artists, um, that is in your wheelhouse of sound and vibe, but also not, because sometimes artists don't want it to be too much like them. They want something completely different. So the audience have two different styles. So basically, it's yeah, aiming to to create these relationships, and then at the same time, um, when you're feeding those relationships, you also acknowledge when they're releasing some music, and then you start having those conversations.
Hmm.
um, and I think it's yeah, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, no, that's totally fair. And I think it's just, again, to like kind of just be really honest with yourself. Like, what
Mm-hmm.
is your brand? How will people perceive you? And then reaching out to artists that complement it, not
Mm-hmm.
necessarily. You don't want to have two of the exact same project or same band kind of thing. So that absolutely makes sense.
Yeah.
So I guess once you've kind of done the local scene, and you've done a couple shows, and you really do want to start touring outside of, in our case, Manitoba, if
Mm-hmm.
not just your city, when does that make sense, or when is it, do you feel it's like normally the right time to actually start expanding outside of your city?
Yeah, like I think the right time, um, for yeah, reaching out and exploring internationally, or outside of the your, or nationally too, it would be, um, when you've created enough of a fan base on all your social medias, that you have enough followers that are interested or downloading your music. So your music's, you've sent it abroad, and you've sent it everywhere. um, Now these days, you could literally, there's so much static data, that you could see even where your music is being played or downloaded. And and for me, a lot of my experience have been looking at that data and those stats, and figuring out, oh wow, I have a huge following in Calgary, so I'm not going to go play in Montreal or Toronto when I have such a huge following in Calgary. And I would start, looking at promoting and booking a couple shows there, and start building those audience and those momentum, because when that happens, then you'll get bigger guarantees, and then from there you could add another province, and then you start branching out, and then eventually from all of your, like their followers, they all talk to each other, and then it kind of grows. But I think it's knowing, um it's when your music has been playing on the radio, and you've been building your audience throughout that, and also seeing if the stat, if it makes sense. um because the worst thing is to go on tour and to lose money and to play to nobody. And it's not, it's not because you're not good, it's just because it's not the right time, and there's things that you need to build to get to that. And sometimes it just takes a bit longer, but also it's just those steps. It's just, you know it's steps to get to that point. And then when you get those, you concentrate on doing those steps. When you've reached that point, it's so much easier for everything.
Hmm.
um yeah.
Yeah, Absolutely. It's a marathon. It's not a sprint.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, exactly.
yeah.
It's long distance run.
Yeah. Ugh, as much as I hate running.
I
That
know.
makes sense. It's already been an hour. I can't believe how quickly time
Yeah.
has flown by. It's been so wonderful to talk with you
Oh,
and hear
me
your
too.
perspective on this. Do you have any last nuggets of wisdom before? And if anybody who's watching has any questions, we can maybe answer a couple quick ones if there are any. But I'm pretty sure you've done you've answered everything. But is there anything else that you'd like to leave us with before we wrap up?
Um, oh, well, I think you said it yourself, like in the beginning. I think it's just so we live in such a small world, but yet so big in this music industry. And I think it's so important that we're all nice to each other, that we all help each other because we're not. I don't know. I know I'm not here for as a competition. I'm here to like absolutely embrace and just want. I want everybody to succeed because yeah, their success is my success. We're all success. But it's also I want to make sure that like from my experience, what I've learned is if something doesn't happen, to that it don't to, not to be too down on yourself because it didn't happen. I really do think that like the creator has a journey for you and or your spirit, I don't know, or who you believe. But I know for me, it just wasn't the time, and the universe kind of takes care of you, and then it's not like it's gonna give you the place, but it's just for you to not think like don't put yourself down because you didn't get a gig here or you didn't get this opportunity, and just be open that something else is out there or around the corner even better that it fits more for you and things like that. But I know I say that a lot because I've learned I've had some really tough times, and it's when I just look back at it, I wish somebody would just like shake me, be like, "It's okay,
It's okay.
don't waste your like couple months of crying," you
Yeah.
know.
Aw.
But mhm.
Yeah, that's totally fair. Yeah. It looks like we don't have any questions. So with
Okay.
that, I will thank you again.
Oh
And
yeah, absolutely.
I'm very happy and thankful that you are here, and I can't wait to have you on for our other programming that we
Yeah,
have
yeah, we may
going
check.
on. And I guess with that, thank you everyone for joining us this evening for the second session of the On Track Indigenous Music Business Basics series. Tune in next week to learn about effective bookkeeping techniques. You can go to indigenousmusic.ca/ontrack for more information about the series. And if you have any more questions about what we talked about today or anything music career related, you can email me at ashley@manitobamusic.com. And I'm always open to questions and concerns about the music industry. And with that, I hope that you have a wonderful evening, and I hope to see you next time. With that, Marcy, and goodbye.
Merci, Richard Gretsch.
Mhm.